Picture this. It's 1992. You're at the Tokyo Dome. But this isn't for a rock concert or a baseball game. Nope. This is a massive spiritual lecture, and it's followed by a guided meditation for an audience of 50,000 people. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down the absolutely unique spiritual system that was presented that day. All right, let's dive right into this journey. First, we'll get into the core problem of being human, at least according to the speaker. Then, we'll look at the solution, this idea of reclaiming a heavenly mind. From there, we'll break down the practical 4-step meditation they were taught, see how that leads to communing with spirit guides, and wrap it all up with a massive ritual that capped off the entire incredible event. So before you can get to the solution, you've got to understand the problem, right? And the lecture puts forward a really unique idea that human suffering doesn't really start with our life circumstances. It actually begins the second we're born into a physical body. The speaker really frames this as a fundamental conflict. On one hand, we start out as these pure spiritual beings from some kind of heavenly world. But then, bam, we're put into a physical body and we completely forget where we came from. We get all tangled up in materialism and what the lecturer calls the 6 root delusions. You know, the classic stuff like greed, anger, and ignorance. And because of that, we lose our way. We lose our original mission. So if the problem is forgetting who you really are, well, the solution is pretty straightforward. You have to remember. You have to actively go out and reclaim that lost part of yourself. And this whole idea is framed through the concept of nirvana, or as it's called here, Neihan. And this is where the definition of nirvana gets really, really interesting. Because it's not about yourself being destroyed or reaching some state of nothingness. Not at all. Instead, it's an active return. It's about getting back that pure, totally transparent mind that you supposedly had before you were even born. This quote just nails the whole point. The end game here isn't escaping the world. It's about finding a totally different kind of happiness, a spiritual joy. And you do that by mentally tapping into that pre-life state of being, even while you're still walking around in the here and now. Okay, so that all sounds great, but how do you actually do it? How do you get there? Well, let's see how this big idea turns into a practical step-by-step meditation. The speaker takes a classical Buddhist concept, the 4 Jhanas, and gives it his own spin for this massive audience. The whole path is laid out in 4 very distinct stages, which are called Shizen-jo. Each stage is designed to build right on top of the last one. It's meant to take you on this incredible inner journey, starting with detachment from your physical body and ending with, well, communion with the spirit world itself. So the journey kicks off with stage 1, Shazen. The big idea here is to start letting go of the idea that you are your physical body. Instead, you're meant to see yourself as something transparent, something fluid, something that can't be held back. And the main metaphor here is a babbling brook. Your mind is supposed to become like water, just flowing, always moving, never getting stuck on the rocks of, say, physical pain or worldly problems. It's all about meditating on this idea of pure, flowing consciousness. All right, so once you've achieved that flowing state, the second stage, Dainzen, asks you to start rising up. This is all about mentally ascending above your physical life so you can get a totally new, much bigger perspective on things. The imagery here shifts from water to air. You become the winds, or cloud, looking down on the world from way up high. And the whole point of this is to make your earthly attachments and desires seem tiny and far away. It's a powerful way to create a sense of detachment. In the third stage, Daisen Zen, the perspective shifts again. After detaching from the physical world, your focus turns inward. This is where you're meant to discover what the speaker calls your true divine nature. This is where the meditator is guided to feel this deep inner harmony. You visualize your true self as a glowing golden sphere, or even the full moon itself. This whole stage is about realizing your identity as a child of God, Buddha, a being that's both divine and enlightened, just perfect and whole as you are. And that brings us to the final, and frankly, most extraordinary stage of this whole meditation. Because after journeying deep inside yourself to find this divine core, the practice now opens you up to a claimed connection with the spiritual world itself. The fourth and final stage, Daiyun Zen, is presented as the moment of direct contact. The focus is no longer on introspection. Now it's about becoming a channel, a receiver for spiritual energy from what are described as beings outside of yourself. And this is such a critical shift, you know? The whole practice moves beyond just self-discovery and into this state of communion. The meditator is told they can now receive light and guidance from their own personal guardian spirit and maybe even connect with higher beings. You're basically experiencing heaven on earth. But the event didn't just fizzle out after a personal meditation. Oh no. This entire journey was building toward one single, massive, climactic moment, a collective ritual that was designed to seal the whole experience for every single person in that dome. And you have to keep the scale of this in mind. This wasn't some quiet little group in a yoga studio. We are talking about 50,000 people, all doing this in unison inside one of Japan's biggest stadiums. The energy must have been incredible. And the whole thing concludes with this ritual. It's framed as the super powerful initiation. It's presented as a direct soul-to-soul pact, a vow, with a central divine figure in this system, a being called El Cantare. And just by participating, it's said that you get this permanent spiritual seal placed on your soul. The ritual itself was actually pretty simple, but it was designed for maximum impact with a huge crowd. First, the speaker chanted the phrase alone, twice. Then, the entire stadium, all 50,000 people, rose to their feet. And then, as one single voice, they all chanted the phrase together, twice more. It transformed this personal journey into a powerful collective statement. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. I mean, the path they laid out is deeply personal, right? It's a journey through your own consciousness. But when that journey is guided and shared at the exact same time with tens of thousands of other people, how does the energy of that massive crowd change your own internal spiritual experience? Makes you wonder.